All right, good morning, friends. Welcome in. Welcome to another Sunday. Eh. Oh my gosh, a morning hype train. Oh no, I'm not awake enough for the hype train. Kitsune for 44 months. In fact, 44 months of strem, it's true. And Kite for also for 44 months. 44 months of strem, blem, and fren. Choo-choo, yeah. And also quack. But yeah, thank you. Good morning, Kits. Good morning, Kite. Good morning, Dobby. Welcome. Oh no, stream, why are you showing as unstable already? Please don't do this. And Kits has gifted a sub to Dobby. Thank you. I very much appreciate it. I'm just gonna hang on here a second and see if stream decides to stabilize itself. Why are you doing this already? Watch streak reached. Cuddly Kite is currently on a 7-stream streak. Does it count for more train? I don't know. I don't know how the streak things work. Friends are coming to celebrate the birth. Oh yeah, that's right. Happy birthday, Dobby. I know it was a couple days ago at this point, but happy birthday. I hope you enjoy friend times. Those are always fantastic. Yeah, your yarn. So yes, here we have Blanket. Blanket is progressing. Blanket needs to continue to progress, so we will continue to progress Blanket. Ooh, katsu curry for dinner? Hang on, let me just book a plane ticket. I'm coming to your place for dinner. Should also adjust camera a bit. Get a Concord out of storage? Uh-oh. Hang on, never mind. Wait, no, the Concord was okay. Which one was the one that had square windows and thus extreme structural problems? Was that the Concord? There was one where they decided to do square windows and it caused hella fuselage cracks. No, I think that was the Comet. It was the de Havilland Comet that had the frickin' square windows. Yeah, I think you're right, Kite. But yes, so we will be doing yarn today. And there will be a D&D recap at the top of the hour. We did in fact have a session yesterday. It was actually a lot of fun. So I am looking forward to recapping that for you all. Yeah, no, the Concord was just retired because it was too loud. Pretty much. And impractical. Cool, but logistically impractical. Funnily enough, it suddenly became profitable when they changed the pricing structure for its pre-retirement trips. I hadn't actually heard that. Because for some reason they tried to make the rapid onset hearing loss device a luxury method of transit. Yeah. Rather than just cramming people in there and shooting them across the Atlantic at top speed. Yes, exactly. Well, I hear approaching coffee. I mean, I guess technically I hear approaching Kara. But I really hope she has coffee.
Google Eats delivery.
It's coffee. Thank you. Koopa Koopa. Alright, I guess I should do the thing. Really pop that out. But I can see it at the same time as my pattern. There we go. Only kind. A wild Kara. Hello, Kara. No, Kits. I think you might be right with Flurp. It's a fuzzy slurp. Appropriate for Moogles. Aw, Eepy Kara. Take a nap. Or I guess maybe go take a nap after D&D recap. Do not like the idea of a fuzzy slurp? I mean, it's a Moogle. I dare you to try to avoid getting fluff in your slurp. Are my ducks having an emergency or a disco? It can be both. That specific duck that's flashing is a disco ball duck, but maybe he also part-times as an emergency responder. We don't know. Something, you're supposed to do CPR to the rhythm of staying alive. Is this anything? Kara, I read that as clack the bass. Because we are talking about ducks. We're silly. This is highly encouraged. Hello, Merlin. Hello, Randus. Good morning to you both. Welcome, welcome. Merlin, I hope you are feeling better. Migraines absolutely suck. Finally slept longer than 3 hours 2 nights in a row. Good. I hate that we have to consider that good, but yay. Meanwhile, ever since I got a new pillow, I have been sleeping like a rock, and it is fantastic. So happy. Yes, the buckwheat pillow. It's a traditional Japanese pillow that is filled up with like the husks off of buckwheat grains. It feels similar in texture to like a beanbag pillow, but a lot denser and firmer. So basically you lay your head down on it and it just like conforms to the shape of your head and like firms up immediately. It's highly recommended for people that sleep on their back or their side, which I do, because it helps hold your neck in alignment. So you don't get like a crick in your neck, essentially. It's wonderful. I love it so much. I've been sleeping so well since I got it. So yeah, if you search just like Japanese buckwheat pillow, or the traditional name for it is sobakawa, but you can just search for buckwheat pillow. They're so good. I got one for myself. Kara tried it while taking a nap yesterday, and now Kara has ordered one for herself. They are not for everyone. All of the reviews you can find online will be like, this is the best pillow in the world, it's amazing, I love it so much. Or, this is awful, this is the worst pillow, it's like sleeping on concrete, and there's nothing in between. Yeah, so usually, like, the way that they use them in Japan is they'll have the buckwheat pillow itself, and then they'll put a very thin, not so much a second pillow, but almost like just a cushion, just like a really thin little, second pillow that's fluff, to help, like, soften the buckwheat a little bit, and it works really, really well. But yeah, highly recommend. Especially if you wake up with like stiff neck or stiff shoulders or anything like that. Give the buckwheat pillow a try. And they're not terribly expensive. They do require a little bit of upkeep. So like over time, because it is just buckwheat hulls, over time they'll kind of like disintegrate and grind into dust, so you do have to refill the pillow occasionally. But you can get like refill packs off Amazon for not very much. And you also occasionally, so like it's recommended that once or twice a year you open the pillow, because they're zipper cases. You open the pillow, take all the buckwheat out, spread it out on like a baking tray and put it in the oven for an hour or two just to like re-dry it out and sterilize it. But hell, I'll do the upkeep for a night's sleep. Do I have just the one pillow or do I have two? So with the buckwheat, I used to sleep, when I was sleeping with regular pillows, I would have like 3 pillows just to try to like get everything to the right angle. But with the buckwheat pillow, I just have the one buckwheat pillow. And then over top of it, I have a second thinner, like much thinner kind of cushion pillow. And it works great. One of the other complaints that you'll see with buckwheat pillows is that they're kind of noisy. Because like you would expect if you're shifting around a little bit, they do make a little bit of noise, but I find it's not nearly as bad as people think it is. I suspect the people that are complaining of a lot of noise have an understuffed pillow and probably need to add some extra holes to it. Because if you're using it properly, you should, like, you lay your head on it, it kind of conforms, and then it's solid. So, like, you shouldn't actually be getting too much movement. Yeah, and they might not be using the extra cushion, because that also helps dampen the sound a bit. But yeah, I would definitely recommend. Like I said, they're not actually terribly expensive. They're definitely less expensive than those like fancy memory foam pillows that say they do the same thing. So yeah, if it sounds like it would be good, I highly recommend, you know, not sponsored, but I highly recommend giving it a try. Pattern here. Memory foam pillows often kind of suck. I find they're very hot, to be honest. Like, they can claim to be cooling or whatever as much as they want, but I find them to be, like, really warm the couple of times I've tried them. Woo! Yeah, keep us posted, kits. Let me know how that feels for you. Because like I said, I love it. I used one when I was living in Japan because that's what my apartment came with, and completely fell in love with it then. Couldn't find one to bring home with me because they are fairly heavy. Couldn't find one online at the time because that was 15 years ago. And then finally just got around to getting one now that they're more widely available, and I should have done it years ago, to be honest. Aww, cute new Carby. This has been Pillow Talk with Patchwit. Nah, other people are allowed to have freckles. Kara just has a lot of freckles. Oh, pillow talk with Pat Twitch. I don't know. It's fine. That is partially why I made that joke. Nap stream when? No. No, thank you. Add another in the classic case of Dutch web shops naming themselves the easy way. Volkleitskussen.nl. I presume that's just like the word for buckwheat pillow. Selling buckwheat pillows. Amazing. Yes. Reminder, in 15 minutes there will be a D&D recap. It was a heck of a session. I had a ton of fun yesterday. I am looking forward to recapping it. Just stay tuned. But also, if you need to, like, run to the bathroom, grab drinks, etc., do so before the top of the hour. Or risk missing the beginning of a delightful adventure. Buckwheat, kusen, pillow. Yeah, makes sense. My pronunciation was probably terrible. I apologize for that. Dutch is not a language I have pronunciation practice in. At all. Yes, in 15 minutes, nothing important happened in D&D, but prepare to take notes on new names anyway. It's true. Only a couple. Only like half a dozen. We did Merlin. But at the same time, you didn't miss anything, because Randus is a genius. We'll get there. Y'all didn't TPK? Not yet? Not yet. No, we did not. Basically, Dobby, so Light, Kate's character, had left the party for a little while. So now that they've returned, we're doing like a little mini side campaign of what Light got up to while they were gone. So it's all the same players, but we all got Like, we all created new characters for just like a little, like, probably 2, 3, 4 sessions of doing just like a mini B plot. Yeah, it's really cool. I'm having a ton of fun with it already. So this B plot may or may not end with a TPK. We know that Light makes it out, but none of the rest of us have guarantees, so it'll be interesting to see where this goes. Yeah, well, I mean, Randus has very explicitly said, even if Light dies in this B plot, Light will return. It's some form of Light. Yeah, Light has already failed to die once. It's probably fine. Yes, the party has seen a tabaxi tail covered by a cloak, and they have items on their person that Light was known to have. So it's probably Light. It might even be the same Light that left. We don't know yet. I will say that Light failing at something as simple as dying kind of sums up the character as a whole. No, Light is wonderful. I love them. I'm so happy to be back. You started talking as Light yesterday, and I just got so giddy and happy. I have missed them. Not that Lash and Adela weren't great, because they were, but like, I've missed Light. This is a mess. Okay. You come. There. That's probably fine. Took me like an hour to find the tempo and tone of light, which is just word soup. Continual word soup until out of thoughts. Yes, but they're adorable. And very charming. Bianca's resubscribed for the 30th month. Eee. Yeah, that's fair. Did you guys also get a ton of snow yesterday? Because we got a ton of snow yesterday. Meaning that Kara and I both took naps. As soon as D&D was over, I took my headphones off and I was just suddenly like, ugh. So then I went and laid down for a nap. And then it melted. Ours is mostly still here. I think it might be melting a little bit, but it's like right around 0 today. Or it's like right around freezing. So it's like kind of melting, kind of refreezing. All in all, just kind of gross. I I would love to visit when it's all snowy for like 1 hour. I think that would be enough. Yeah, probably. Depending on the temperature of the air at the time and the amount of wind, you might be content with significantly less than an hour. But yeah, the snow is pretty. I really like snow when I don't have to be out in it. I like looking at snow. I don't like having to walk through snow or exist in snow. And don't love the ice it turns into or having to shovel it. Yes, exactly. Oh yeah, fresh snow is the best. Like if you're walking while it's snowing and it's like just coming down gently and there's not a lot of wind, like it is wonderful. And then it hits the ground and turns into gross. Mix a little road salt in. Or a lot of road salt in. I had last week had the ugliest flakes I have ever seen fallen. They looked more like sleet or hail droplets. Oh yeah. Yep, that's a thing sometimes. My beef with road salt is that it cakes onto my boots, and then we track it inside and it ruins the floors and carpets. Even just like we have like an entryway, and we have like they're like industrial carpet mats down, but we still need to like get new ones basically every other year because the road salt just eats through them. And like cakes onto the like crusts in the corner, like ugh, just ugh. But anyway, it is the top of the hour. So last time on D&D, we fought a second T-Rex. Don't even worry about it. The head druid frog unfortunately escaped, but we were able to rescue the head of the logging camp. We found him sheltering inside his office, like 2 days away from dying of dehydration, but still alive. So we managed to rescue him, got him back to Phandalin and into the care of his brother, the headmaster, or the townmaster. Headmaster is a very different thing. And then the party was kind of like, okay, cool. That is excellent. We have finished that quest. Let's go to the inn for dinner. And as we walked into the inn, we noticed a figure, somewhat familiar figure wearing a cloak, sitting by the fire with like a long, fuzzy, very familiar tail hanging out of the back of the cloak. And as the party walked in, they flipped a button up in the air and caught it again. Which, if you'll remember, when Light left the party, Glint gave them a button and basically said, like, okay, you have to return this button to me, so you have to come back safe. And this person has that button, and it seems to be Light's tail. So Glint, of course, being Glint, is just like, Light! And goes, you know, running across the inn to tackle hug them. And then there was like one of those freeze frames from like a sitcom, and Light turned to the camera and kind of went, so I bet you're wondering how I got here. So now we rewind, and we're going to be playing a little mini campaign to find out what happened while Light was away. So Kite, as Light's player, is also wondering how they got here. Yes, exactly. Kite doesn't even know. That hasn't been played out yet. So, if we rewind, Light had left the group because we found a rather concerning, somewhat vampiric tree in the process of like slowly eating the Neverwinter Woods. And Light kind of went, oh no, oh no. Well, I know people that can take care of this. I need to go and get them. So they had left the party to go back to the Abbey where they grew up, because they know that at the Abbey there are gardeners with a capital G that would be able to take care of this, you know, not great vampiric tree problem. Do it like Kuzco from The Emperor's New Groove. Every so often, Light breaks the fourth wall. Exactly. Light wouldn't know what to do with a fourth wall. I mean, they could punch it. That seems like it's probably fine. So Light goes running back toward their abbey, which is, I believe, to the east, on the other side of the Neverwinter Woods. They approach the river that they will need to take to cross to get to the Abbey, because the Abbey is on, like, kind of a little island. They've got, like, water all the way around that serves as passive defenses if needed. So Light approaches and finds the boat that is usually there to use to cross back and forth by Abbey folk is actually on this side of the river, which is like a little unusual, but not like concerningly unusual. Light's like, okay, there's probably like a trade party that's gone out or something. So I'll just chill here by the boat and wait for them to get back. So Light hangs out by the boat for a while, and a little bit before sunset, like as the sun is starting to kind of dip down toward the horizon, they see a group approaching. It is a young gnome that seems to be leading the way, and behind them is a whole group of like essentially refugees. Basically, like, they're wearing very tattered clothes. They're clearly not in the best of shape. And Light has seen groups like this before. They're coming to most likely like take shelter and live at the Abbey. Because that's kind of one of the things the Abbey does. They take in strays and people in need of help and in need of homes and help them get back on their feet. So this is one of those groups that's coming back to the Abbey. and this gnome is escorting them. And Light doesn't recognize this gnome, but that's not like, not completely weird, because again, Light's been gone from the Abbey for a little over 6 months at this point. And in talking with this gnome, it turns out the gnome has only been there for a month or two, so that kind of makes sense. So they all get in the boat and they make their way back across the river and back to the Abbey. And Light, escorts the group into kind of the main hall to get them all settled in and get them fed and sort of start sorting them out of like, okay, where are you going to stay? What's next? Etc. And in that main hall, they encounter the head cleric, the I forget exactly what you called her, Kite. Basically the Mother Superior, the woman that is in charge of the Abbey, who is a very formidable ASMR woman. Abbess. There we go. Abbess works. And she, sees Light, and Light's kind of like, hello, I'm back. And she, in like this very grandmotherly, yet also incredibly stern voice, is just kind of like, yes, I can see that you're back. Does the Abbess have a Costella? Oh no. Oh, I don't think so. I really don't think so. But she's just like, yes, I can see that you're back. Do you have anything you want to say to me? Basically like gesturing it. So as a reminder, Light looks a little bit different physically than they did when they left the Abbey. Because they have a second pair of whiskers, since they are in fact currently a were-rat. And their eyes have gone completely black. Which, is related to the time where Light totally didn't die. And so, the Abbess is definitely eyeballing this and kind of not verbally demanding an explanation, but Light can tell that she really wants an explanation. And Light really desperately does not want to give an explanation. So she basically tells Light, like, okay, go to your room, take the night, because at this point it's fairly late in the evening. Like, okay, go to your room, think about what you want to say to me, and then come and meet me essentially in my office at dawn tomorrow. Light does not want to have to explain all the ways they have messed up existing. Light going, I am the night, in a quivering tiny voice. No. See, here's the thing, Light. That entire, conversation yesterday, Bram wants to fight her. Bram wants to, maybe not physically fight her, but Bram wants to, fight her and just be like, okay, fine, if you're not going to appreciate Light, they're my cat now. Yes, also in this scene, the guards are the guards are not around due to internal power struggles. They've all been sent away to, take care of things outside the Abbey to, learn their place, as the Abbess termed it. However, Light did manage to convey, hey, there's a vampire tree, we need some gardeners. And the Abbess kind of, acknowledged that. Bram is, Light's seventh parent. Yeah, pretty much. Bram is the one that just kind of wants to wrap Light up in a blanket and tell them they're perfect the way they are. Oh no, if Bram wants to fight her, then Glint will fight her. Yeah, pretty much. So anyway. Oh, okay, they were being punished in the form of manning the gardens. Okay, that makes more sense. She said in the fields, I believe, and my brain interpreted that as being like out in the outside, but you mean like literal garden fields. Okay, that also makes sense. Um so Light, yeah, they're in the fields, exactly. That's what she said. Um so Light goes back to, I mean, they've been gone for 6 months, so they don't really have like their own room, but they go and find, a barracks bunk that's, or a bunk that's not occupied currently, and sleeps. And then they get up very early to go find a shrine and say their prayers, and then they go and head to the abbess's office. And as they walk in, the abbess is sitting in what was described as a very uncomfortable looking chair, but a very like official looking chair. And like Light would know that this is the chair that gets brought out on like not quite special occasions, but like when there's official business to be dispatched. It is dispatched from this chair. So Light is immediately just kind of like, oh no, someone's in trouble. Oh no, I think it's me. But also it's the official decisions chair. But also there are two other people already in the room, kind of hanging out back by the door. And so above table, poor Merlin was down with a migraine yesterday. Kara was extremely eepy. His father briefly tuned in, but then unfortunately had to drop, also due to illness. So it was Kite playing Light, and then myself and Elrad, along with Randus, of course. So as Light walks into the abbess's office, there are two other people hanging out in the room, and Randus goes, okay, Elrad and Maria, would you like to describe your characters? So, my wonderful little girl, so one of the two figures is a halfling. She is dressed in armor, with like really big, like chunky gauntlets. And which, in hindsight, actually, I probably should have mentioned this, because Light probably might have recognized that she is in fact wearing gauntlets of ogre power. So she has like these big chunky gauntlets on, but then like strangely delicate shoes, like not the big chunky boots that you would have expected to match the armor. She's got dark hair that's kind of like pulled back to the back of her head. And she's got an axe on her back, where like it looks kind of like it was an axe made for a bigger race, like it was an axe that was made for like a human or an elf or something. It was made for a larger race to wield it one-handed, but she's taken it and probably cut the half to the proper length and is using it two-handed as a halfling. So she's got an axe. And when Light looks over at her, she kind of smiles and gives like a little wave. Like she's intimidated by the abbess, but also like trying to be friendly. Yeah, exactly. Your hand axe is my great axe. Exactly that. The other character who Elrad is playing, is a orc lady. So she's got like the greenish skin. Well, and I should also mention that the halfling is like, she's young, but not like young. She's probably like in her late 20s, early 30s-ish, equivalent for halflings. Halfling lifespan is annoying. So she's like an adult and got some experiences under her belt, but she's not like a seasoned adventurer, if that makes sense. The orc is much younger. She's like probably late teens, mid to late teens, somewhere in there. She's got the greenish skin, she's got the tusks. She is dressed in more like sort of well worn, comfortable clothes, like not necessarily armor, not necessarily like anything super fancy, just kind of what she's comfortable in and what she's used to. What you might think of as like sort of civilian clothes, I guess. The one thing that kind of stands out is that she's got like a brooch that's kind of fancy. She's got like a brooch pinned to her collar, and then hanging down below the brooch is like a vial of like, you know, a mysterious reddish substance that's probably no problem at all. Yeah, well loved is the term Elrad used. Thank you. Exactly. Well loved clothing. And she also looks kind of like a bit nervous, a bit wary, but also kind of nods at Light. And so the abbess is like, okay, well, introduce yourselves. So the halfling introduces herself as Era, and the orc introduces herself as Karina. And they are here for some reason. Turns out, the abbess will, you know, she tells Light that she'll organize the gardeners, she'll get them sent toward the vampire tree to get that taken care of. That's no problem. But she has a different task that she wants Light to do. Turns out that one of the other members of the Abbey, oh yes, and then she needs to poke Light to actually introduce themselves, and kind of disapprovingly goes like, have you forgotten all manners outside of the Abbey? And Light kind of has to defensively go, no, things are just different. Light's not really used to people not knowing who they are. Yeah, poor Light. She's not... Yeah, poor Light. The lady that's missing, I forget exactly what her position within the Abbey is. She's like... Kite, you'll have to help me out. I don't remember what her exact position within the Abbey is. Oh, she is the head guard. Okay. I couldn't remember if she was the head guard or if she had some... Okay, so the head guard had apparently left the Abbey on some kind of a quest and hadn't returned. So the abbess had, after a while, grown concerned that she hadn't returned and sent out a party of 4 to go and try to find her. Except they haven't returned either. So now we are being sent to go find this missing party and the missing head guard, and bring them back, or at least bring back information of what the hell happened to them. And the abbess is very clear that she expects results this time. Which is not terrifying at all. So yeah, above table, Merlin and Zvother and Kara's characters, along with at least one other, are currently MIA. And theoretically, we will run across them next session. But yeah, I thought that was pretty ingenious of a way to get around a couple players not being able to make it on what's technically a session 1. So that's great. So Karina and Era and Light leave the abbess's chambers. We were told to go speak to the librarian, to go into the library building, speak to the head librarian, who Light knows fairly well, and that she'll be able to send us on our way. So Era, as they leave the abbess's chambers, Era kind of pokes Light and is like, you should go grab your stuff before we actually go talk to the librarian, Catboy. And Light kind of blinks a bit, but doesn't correct her, and is like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And so they go back to the room where Light had been staying and pick up all of Light's stuff, so that we are ready to go. And then we head for the library. Yeah, that's where Light learned the many things that they know, is at this library. They have read the many books that are here. So as we go in, the sun is like just starting to rise. Like, it's like risen enough to give light, but it's still kind of hidden behind like the trees in the horizon, if that makes sense. So as we walk into the library, the head librarian, who is a lady named Mina, who, as I mentioned, Light knows fairly well, she's like clearly agitated. Like, she keeps like glancing out the window at the sky and then looking back at the door, and kind of pacing a little bit. Yes, head librarian, aka the only librarian. It's fine. And as we walk in, she's kind of like, oh, good, you're here. Like, time is running out. You know, hurry, hurry, hurry. And Light's just like, hi, I'm back. And she's like, yes, I see that, but we have no time. We'll have to talk later. Come on, come on, come on. And she walks over to open up a hatch sort of toward the back of the room that leads down into a basement. And Light knows very well that they have never been allowed in the basement. The basement is very firmly off limits. Nobody goes down into the basement. Yeah, no hidden books, just lots of very forbidden books. So as soon as Light sees her open the forbidden basement hatch, Light is just kind of like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. But we get ushered down into the basement, and there's maybe 100 books down here, a couple dozen, somewhere, you know, a couple dozen, 100 books, in a couple of short shelves. And these are books that are, not just extremely dangerous, but also extremely hostile. These are books that make or break empires in the wrong hands. These are books that, I think Randus described it as, well, we would try to burn them, but we're afraid of what they would do if we tried, kind of books. Yeah, these books have teeth, I believe is the way that I termed it. Metaphorical teeth, possibly literal teeth. We didn't take too close of a look at any of them. And down at the end of the room is one of those little like book reading pedestals, like a little lectern kind of thing. And there's a book laying open on it. And this book looks like somebody had tried to burn it. It's got like very heavy char around like the edges of the pages, but like the char only goes like maybe an inch into the page and stops. None of the text is touched at all. Like clearly somebody had tried very hard to burn this book, and this book would not burn. Yeah, these are books like the one that Landon carries. These are books that you could most likely term alive in various senses of the word. And this one was clearly not very happy about being burned. As we all come down into the basement and look at it and notice it, there is a little black, like sphere that's kind of hovering, like, you know, if a book is open, it's kind of hovering like right above the center of the book. And as we watch it, it kind of like pulses a little bit and expands a little bit larger. And then after another minute or so, it pulses again and expands a little bit larger. And as we're all staring at it, Mina basically goes, okay, so when it's large enough that it engulfs the entire book, that's when you touch it. You have about a minute to touch it, or it'll kill you. Bye! And then she turns around, leaves, and slams the hatch behind her, and we hear it click locked. So that's wonderful. The three of us just kind of spend a moment staring at each other, kind of going, oh no, oh dear, what have we gotten ourselves into? Oh no. Yeah, concerning a little bit. So we kind of stand around for a minute or so, or a minute or two, and watch as this orb kind of slowly begins to grow. Yeah, we all kind of double check with each other, like she said when it engulfs the book we have about a minute, right? Yeah, okay, we all heard the same thing. Okay, that's probably right. Oh dear. In staring at this sort of void orb, Light kind of has a little bit of an episode where they just kind of blank out, like entranced by this little piece of void, you know, as cats do, perfectly fine and normal, no problems whatsoever. I will also mention that at one point, Era had also, in talking to Mina, referred to Light as he again, and Light had kind of gently corrected her of like, oh, actually, sorry, it's they. And Era's like, oh yes, I'm very sorry about that, and corrected herself. Yeah, sometimes cats look at things. Don't worry about it. Exactly. So Era kind of nudges at Light a little bit of like, hey, wake up. What are you staring at? Oh no, don't do this to us. And Karina uses Elemency to like toss a little bit of water in Light's face to be like, hey, wake up. And as we're watching this orb kind of get bigger, and as it starts to begin to engulf the book, we start to notice that it looks less solid black, and it looks more like we can almost see a little bit of a scene inside of it. Like we can see kind of a hilltop and like maybe a tree. And Era being a halfling, she's like on eye level with it, so she walks over and is like squinting at it to try to like figure out like what the hell. But she can't really figure out much more than like, okay, it looks like a tree, looks like we're looking through into somewhere, question mark. So once it gets big enough that it's engulfed the entire book, the three of us just kind of look at each other and go, okay, guess we're going. Because we really, really, really don't want to have to explain to the abbess why we didn't, basically. None of us want to ever have to explain anything to the abbess. So once it's large enough that it's reached the appointed size, we all kind of look at each other and then we all reach out to touch it at once. There is a very distressing sensation of there is a rather distressing sensation of like our bodies being compressed and drawn into this orb, almost like we're being like squished down and like pulled through a pinprick hole in space. It doesn't necessarily hurt, it's just extremely distressing and like not a good feeling for sure. Somehow for an abbey for a pacifist god, there's a lot of death and dishonor around. I don't know. Is it real dishonor, or is the dishonor within your own mind? If we'd chosen to touch it in sequence, we would have seen those in front of you experience this. Ugh. No. Glad we touched it, glad we touched it all together. So we all kind of experienced this compressing sensation. And it's one of those sensations that seems to last forever and no time all at the same time. And then the process kind of reverses itself, and we can expand. We expand back into our original bodies, and we land and find ourselves standing in some sort of a landscape. It's how to describe. We're standing in like a valley. So there's kind of a valley channel with like sharp cliffs on either side. There's a skeleton of some sort of a very, very large creature. Like, I'm not even talking dragon large, I'm talking like bigger than dragon large. Hey Kuma. Resubscribing for the 28th month. Thank you so much. You have come right in the middle of the D&D recap. Yeah. So there's like this very, very large creature skeleton that's kind of like, it's clearly so old that it's like half embedded in the ground, or maybe the ground weathered away from on top of it. It's kind of hard to tell. There are trees, there is grass, but like everything is a really weird like gray brown color. Like there's not really any brighter colors anywhere. Everything is just kind of drab and gray and monochrome. The sky is, it's like if it was an overcast sky but there's no clouds. Like it seems like to be a sort of twilight, but there's no sun visible, there's no moon visible. It's just kind of a gray, dingy sky with like not a lot of light. But speaking of light, as we come through this portal and land on the other side, Era and Karina immediately notice some differences in light. Their tail is now no longer furry. It is just like a, I don't want to use the word fleshy, but it is like a naked tail. Their paws have changed a little bit. Their face is now a lot more pointed. Oh no, not full rat. They are still in their hybrid form. They are still standing on 2 feet. They are still able to speak, all of that stuff. But yes, they are currently stuck in their hybrid were-rat form, which is interesting and less than ideal, but interesting. Also potentially very interesting, where before their eyes were like a pure solid black, now they're like a pure gold. Almost like if before they were void, here they are sunshine. Like they're not necessarily glowing and giving off light, but they are like fully golden colored. And interestingly, to light, as they look around, this landscape seems extremely bright and vivid. Like, not, the colors aren't more vivid, like the colors are still brown and gray, but like to them this doesn't look like twilight. To them this looks like full day. Like they are having no trouble seeing in this weird gloomy landscape, which is interesting for a variety of reasons. So there's a little bit of minor freaking out as everybody notices these changes. But that is fairly quickly sorted out. Yeah, so ever since they got the dark eyes, Light has kind of been looking at the world as though they were always wearing sunglasses. Like there was always a little bit of like a dark shade across their vision until they got here. And like I said, here it's almost the opposite. It's like Brandis described it as though they were wearing like a headlamp where they can just see perfectly clearly here with no problems whatsoever. So the changes are noted and freaked out about a little bit, not too much. And then we start kind of looking around at the landscape of like, okay, well, where the hell are we? And Light makes the guess that, oh, this seems to be the Shadowfell. And then there's a bit of discussion about how planes work and various elemental planes. And Era makes the astute, logical, very, very logical assumption that, like, well, obviously fire comes from the fire plane, and water must come from the water plane, so maybe this is just where all of the shadows on Earth come from. They just come from this plane, which, you know, makes perfect sense to her. It's fine. I feel at this point that I should note that Era has an intelligence of 9 and Karina has an intelligence of 8. This leads to some rather hilarious conversations over the course of travel, I am sure. But Era is, in fact, a map maker. It's what she does for a living. So once we've established that we are possibly in another plane of existence, and we're gonna have to go find our missing party that we've been sent to find, she's like, all right, well, we're not going anywhere without a map. So she pulls out her mapping supplies, and starts, you know, okay, as we walk, we're gonna make a map so that we'll be able to find our way back here. And then they kind of have the realization of like, we don't know how to get back. They didn't tell us how to get back. Well, fuck. How do we get back? That's probably a problem for later. Fuck. So Era at least wants to make sure that we can find our way back to this skeleton where we entered, just in case that becomes important for us leaving. Yeah, we were fairly unbriefed on this mission. Era even is kind of like, well, maybe that's why the other party didn't come back, because you didn't tell us how to go back. What did you think was going to happen, Abbas? Yeah. And then we learned that Mint continues to be the brains of this operation. It's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. So while Era is making a sketch of like the landscape that we can see to mark the beginnings of her map, Light goes to kind of poke at the skeleton and try to determine what kind of creature it might have been. No idea. Cannot tell. But could not begin to tell you what kind of giant creature this is. Yeah, we're all assuming that they knew that, yeah. Yeah, no. Well, of course, they're in charge. Why wouldn't they know that? Why would they send people off to a place where they don't know how to come back from? That seems silly and irresponsible. And would an irresponsible person be the head of an entire abbey? Oh god, no, don't tell her I said that. I didn't say that, never mind. Karina sort of takes a look around the area to try to see if she can find tracks of like, okay, did the previous party, like, which way did they go? Did they come through here? Did they even arrive at the same point? But unfortunately isn't really able to find any signs. So we are in a valley, so at least there's not like unlimited directions we could go. unless we wanted to try to climb the cliffs, which just seems like a bad idea. We kind of only have 2 directions to travel. So failing to find any like signs of which way the other party went, if they even came through here, we kind of go eeny meeny miny mo. Era proposes the logic of, okay, well, this giant skeleton was traveling this direction, so do we want to go in the same direction it was traveling, or do we want to go in the direction of whatever it might have been running away from? And we kind of decide, okay, let's go in the direction it was heading. Like, it was heading toward something theoretically, so maybe that'll be a thing that's useful or good. So we start heading to the northeast, up this long valley. We travel for several hours, like what feels like probably half a day, until the valley starts narrowing a bit. There starts to be fog along the ground. It's like really thick fog, like to the point where we can't even see our feet. But it's pretty heavy fog, like it's staying hovering at the ground level. The skeleton that might be older than the valley you're in, shh. Look, int of 9, int of 8. We're making logical assumptions here. So this fog starts swirling in around our feet and legs and getting really thick. Era, being a halfling, kind of bends over to stick her face in it to like inhale it and make sure it's not poisonous, because that's totally logical. But it's not. It's just water fog. There's no real smell to it. It's just fog. So we kind of continue the valley, you know, like I said, it narrows dramatically. It also starts winding around a little bit. So as we're kind of exploring around these twists and bends, we come across, okay, again, int of 9, int of 8, and light. We come across what's definitely probably an old campground. And we can tell because there's like giant stone beds around. You know, like box shapes. Made of stone. Like solid pieces of stone. With like, they've got like almost a stone pillow shape at one end of them. Like they're bed shaped. They're definitely stone beds. And we kind of do a little bit of back and forth of like, well, why would you want to camp outdoors in a place like this? Well, we don't know if it ever rains here. Maybe it's fine to sleep outside. Okay, that's a good point. We continue, and there's a statue. And Light tries to take a look at the statue, but it's kind of broken and weathered, and like they can maybe like make out kind of a broken wing, like, but not really too much more than that, because it's kind of just a very old crumpled statue. So we continue further into this part of the valley, past these stone beds, and we turn another corner and come to the entrance of what looks to be a cave system, and another statue, like a much larger statue, but this one is much more broken, like it's been toppled over at some point, almost like across the cave mouth. And it's like broken up into pieces. There's a second smaller statue that looks like it's probably the same one as the statue we saw, but Light saw before. It's got like wings to it, and this one's a little bit more complete. You can tell that it's like the figure of a woman with wings. And there's a couple more of these stone beds that are kind of arrayed around this little, like, not a dead end because it leads into the caves, but this little like ending of the valley. Yeah, and I believe at this point Light did manage to make their religion check to identify this smaller, more complete statue as being of the Raven Queen. And like kind of going, oh no, for like the 5th time today. And as they make this realization, they kind of take a step or two back. Oh, the cave mouth has caved in. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was like totally blocked or if it was just mostly blocked. Okay, so yes, the cave mouth has caved in. We could tell that there was an entrance. There probably is still caves further back, but the mouth has caved in. Okay, cool. As Light sort of realizes that this is a statue of the Raven Queen, and therefore these stone beds are most likely not beds. They are resting places for followers of the Raven Queen. They kind of go, oh no, oh, we should leave. We should definitely leave very quickly, and kind of starts backing away. And as they do, all of the fog in this area starts to kind of swirl together and like condense. Yeah, exactly. What is a bed but a resting place? All of this fog starts to like condense and like condense so much that it's almost like taking on a solid form. And it kind of swirls up into, for a moment, a figure of a tabaxi that Light recognizes. The rest of us do not, but Light recognizes her. It's not Glint, I will say that, because that was my first thought, but it's not. And she turns and looks right at Light for a moment, and Light, the rest of us don't, but Light hears her say, oh, what are you doing here? You should run. Yes, I also presume this is Dusk. That is my assumption as well. My first thought was that it was Glint, and then I thought about it for a second longer, and I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Yes, I presume this is Dusk, which we will get to in a few moments, or in a few minutes. So she tells Light, like, oh, what are you doing here? You need to run. And then the tabaxi form kind of collapses back into the mist, and even more mist is swirling around, and it's getting larger and larger and larger. And at that point, Light is like, yep, we should run. We should definitely run, and turns around and bolts. And Era and Karina are like, yep, following your lead. We are running. And they take off after Light. And as we're running, we can hear this. Well, not here, but we can see this mist form that's like, now it's large enough that we can see it like over the walls of the canyon. Like it is looming over the landscape, like hundreds of feet high. And it's taking on the form of a giant. And Light manages to get a good enough look and is able to connect it to a deity, well, over deity. Like this is beyond deity. By the name of Ao. Who was like the creator of the gods and like the one that sundered the plains. Oh yes, and we can also hear the stone beds like cracking open, which is also not good, and we don't want to stop to investigate that, so we're just gonna keep running. So we bolt back up the way we came, back up the valley, and as we turn and look back, the giant is not following us, thank God. Who knows what we would have done in that case. It's not following us, it's just standing there. Yeah, the god of giants and gods, exactly. It's just standing there, standing guard over that cave system. You know, just standing to guard to make sure we don't try to come back. Which we're not. We are not coming back. So that was a fun little detour. And as we walk back up the valley, as we walk back up, so Era has indeed been mapping this entire time, like the whole time we were walking up all of the like twists and turns of the canyons. She has been making a map dutifully because that's what she does. She is a cartographer by trade. Like it's almost more of like a security thing for her. She's like, I need to have a map of this place or I will lose my mind kind of thing. So as we're like walking back down the valley, back the way we came, the area with like the fog giant and the stone beds, she's just putting like frowny faces and like, no, don't go here, bad, no, more frowny faces. At which point Randus drops like, oh yeah, I had this planned in case you guys decided to go the wrong way. Spoiler alert, we went the wrong way. So we go back the way we came, and after another several hours of traveling, we arrive back at the giant skeleton where we started. And I'll note, we've now been traveling for what feels like a full day, like hours and hours and hours at least, but the sky hasn't changed, it hasn't gotten lighter, like it hasn't gotten darker either, but it hasn't gotten lighter. It's almost like time is passing, but no time is passing. Like the sky isn't changing, the world isn't changing kind of thing. So we arrive back at the giant skeleton and continue on past it to go the other direction, to the southwest. Yeah, perpetual dusk, exactly. So we head back down the other way, and we travel for a while longer. Yeah, the rewards were not dying in the fight with the fog giant. It's true. So we continue down to the southwest in the opposite direction of where we initially headed. And after another, while of traveling and Era dutifully making map, again, the valley starts to narrow a bit. This time there's no fog, thank goodness. And we come to a place where like the valley has narrowed fairly significantly. And right in the middle of the valley is a tree. And upon initial impression, it looks like a dead tree, but like not. Like there's no leaves to it. And it is kind of the same sickly gray-brown color as the rest of the landscape. But it does still look like it's growing. Like it looks more like a tree in winter than it does a dead tree, if that makes sense. Like there aren't any leaves around the base of it. There's no sign that it ever had leaves. It's just kind of a leafless, like branchy tree, if that makes sense. Oh, you did have a rather powerful magic item hidden there, did you? Well, gosh, guys, we should go back and fight the fog giant. But yeah, so in the middle of the valley is this leafless tree. So Light goes running up to take a look at the tree, to take a closer look at it. And immediately gets hit by an arrow from above. Why does that feel like a trap? Oh, I should mention, so before the arrow, as we approach the tree, Light immediately notices that around the base of the tree, there do look like signs of a fairly recent campsite. Like there's the remains of a fire, there's like scuffed areas in the dirt, where it looks like, maybe people had been moving around or laying down, and it looks fairly recent. Which is why Light was kind of like, aha! And went running up to take a closer look at it. To try to determine, like, okay, is there anything here that definitely shows, like, is this the party we're looking for? Is this something or someone else? At which point they're hit by an arrow from above. For like 3 points of damage, so it's fine. So they kind of just go, ow, and look up into the tree. And crouched in the branches of the tree is a tabaxi. Um, a male figure tabaxi dressed in kind of ragged, threadbare clothes. But strangely, it's a tabaxi that Light recognizes. I mean, this tabaxi looks a lot older and like grayer than Light remembers them, but Light remembers this tabaxi's face. Because see, the thing is, Light had this dream flashback thing a while ago that they've never really been able to figure out the full meaning of. But they had this dream that they, meaning Light was laying in this crib or cradle, and they remember a pair of tabaxi leaning over the edge of the cradle, a male and a female. And then they remember being taken out of the cradle by like an elf, but the elf lady wasn't good. Like, they didn't want to be taken out of the cradle. And this was all happening in like a tent in a desert. Like it's, you know, it was a dream / flashback. So it's very fuzzy and very like bits and pieces. But Light definitely remembers that this tabaxi was one of the ones that was leaning over the cradle. Again, they look a lot older and grayer now, about 20 years older. But it is the same tabaxi. There are some CR11 monsters that Light would actually be a real threat to. A giant is not one of them. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Can't just punch it in the ankle bones. Just hamstring it. It's fine. Take out the Achilles tendon. Anyway. So, Light kind of has a moment of staring at this tabaxi like, wait, I know you. I definitely know you. And makes the decision to scurry up the tree to try to grapple this tabaxi, to like get them to like, hey, stop shooting, we need to talk. So they do manage to, you know, they scurry up the tree with no problem and get like on the same level as this tabaxi. Try to grapple them. The tabaxi manages to avoid and break out of the first grapple, but then Light just tries again and they're able to grapple them the second time. And then they kind of both roll out of the tree and land sort of side by side on the ground. Minimal damage, it's fine, no problem. And Light's just kind of like, hey, can we talk about this? Like, stop, you know, we need to talk. Karina kind of is sort of holding a spell just in case, and is kind of yelling of like, you know, we're looking for, you know, we're looking for a party from this abbey, you know. Yes, so that's the thing. Reminder that Light does not look like a tabaxi right now. Light is in their hybrid rat form. And from this tabaxi's perspective, as they're crouching in the tree, potentially waiting for prey to come by, they had seen this rat beast come running up the valley toward the tree, being pursued, in their view, by a halfling and an orc. So Era kind of runs forward and is kind of like, stop, you know, they're a friend of ours, they're not going to hurt you, you shouldn't hurt them, like, stop, don't hurt each other, we should talk, like, don't, you know, nobody do anything stupid, basically. Which is rich coming from her. But the tabaxi manages to break out of the grapple and kind of rolls away and gets back to their feet. And they pull out a rapier in one hand and a scimitar in the other, but they kind of take a defensive stance. Like, they're not immediately attacking, not immediately bolting, like very clearly on the defensive. And is basically like, okay, talk. And Light does a patented Light ramble, which I unfortunately cannot do justice to. But Light basically reveals, like, I think I remember you, um, because I think I knew you when I was a kitten, because I remember you, I think, leaning over my cradle, and who are how did you come to be here, like what happened, how did you get here. um and the tabaxi is clearly extremely wary and is basically like, well, we were betrayed and sent here. And Light goes, betrayed by an elf in a tent in a desert, because that's what they remember from their flashback. um and at that point, the tabaxi kind of, like, the anger leaves. They're still really wary, but they're like, what are you talking about, explain more. And so Light continues to ramble a bit of like, I remember you, leaning over my cradle. I don't remember much more beyond that. And kind of also does the explanation of like, I'm really a tabaxi. I know I don't look like it at the moment, but I promise I'm a tabaxi. Things have just kind of happened. At which point, Snarltooth, which is this male tabaxi's name, Snarltooth kind of completely drops his weapons and comes running toward Light. Yeah, they were here as part of a research project and then got betrayed. And wraps Light up in a hug, and Light just kind of feels a little bit of warm wetness against their fur. As Snarltooth just kind of goes, "Oh, broken ear, is it really you?" And Light just goes, I think so. I think it's me. Are you my dad? Which, yes, it turns out this is in fact Light's father. So yeah, we found Light's dad. So the head guard of the Abbey, it turns out, had also been a member of sort of their research team with Light's parents. And when stuff started to happen, Snarltooth gave Light to Elendil, this half-elf lady, and said, get them somewhere safe. Like, take them away from here, make sure they're safe. And so Elendil has been watching out for Light their entire life. Has gifted Light many things over the years. And now, for some reason that we're not totally clear on yet, she decided to come back to the Shadowfell for some reason. And now is missing, presumably. So, TBD on what's going on there. TBD on exactly where Dusk, which is Light's mother, exactly where she is and why she showed up in the fog. Whether or not she's still alive is uncertain. We haven't had a chance to really talk with Snarltooth much to figure that out yet. But yeah, Light was basically like, why don't you come with us? Like, we're searching for Elendil and for some other people from the Abbey. Come with us, and then we'll try to figure out a way out of here, because they didn't tell us how to get out. But maybe we can find it all together. Yes, so the reason that she came into the Shadowfell, the reason that she gave to the leadership, was to hunt a traitor. But why? My question is, why now? Why wait 18, 20 years? Yes, I mentioned it, but I didn't, like, fully point it out. Yeah, Light's birth name is Broken Ear. I think so. But I just kind of mentioned it in passing. Of like, oh, Broken Ear, is it really you? Yeah, so Snarltooth is his father, Dusk is his mother, and then Light's birth name was Snarltooth. Or, sorry, Light's birth name was Broken Ear. Yeah, so why has she chosen now to finally come back to the Shadowfell to try to hunt down this traitor? Is it because Light has left and she feels like they're probably fine without her now? Who knows? Yeah, why wait for the one in their charge to grow up and move out? That is my guess. That is my current guess. Is Light is now gone and on their own, and she feels that they'll be okay without her. Is my assumption. So yeah. So next session. Also, I should mention that when talking with Snarltooth, we were able to ask them like, hey, did you see the people that were camping here, and did you see which way they went? And he was like, yes, they went that way. So presumably we will be meeting up with the other party and the rest of the player characters fairly early in the next session. No, Kits. So my understanding of the timeline, and Kite and Randus may need to correct me on this, my understanding of the timeline is that when Light was little, like old enough to form memories but still very little, so I'm guessing a toddler-ish. When Light was a toddler, their parents and this elf lady were on some kind of a research expedition looking into the Shadowfell. And they were then betrayed. Light was given over to the elf lady for safekeeping and told like, hey, take Light away, make sure they're safe. So she left with Light, and then something happened where Dusk and Snarltooth, and presumably whoever this traitor was, ended up in the Shadowfell. Dusk is not Light's mom's original name. It was taken when she swore fealty to the Raven Queen. Oh, that brings up some things. So here's the other thing I didn't notice, or the other thing I didn't mention. Because I'm not entirely clear on it. As part of Light's flashback, Light remembers, or thinks they remember, seeing Snarltooth get killed by the traitor. But here Snarltooth is, fully resurrected and, like, reborn. And seemingly okay. In the Shadowfell. So there's that. But I'm sure everything will be fine. I'm sure everything will be fine. So yeah, next session, we will continue traveling along this valley in the company of Snarltooth to seek out the rest of the party, and try to figure out what the heck is going on, and then get ourselves out of here. I mean, yes, exactly, Dobby. That joke was made. Not dying runs in the family. Absolutely. Oh, this was known from the flashback. It was known that she swore fealty to the Raven Queen. Okay. Neat. So that's fun. The research team was in the Shadowfell. Okay. So yeah, fun times. I am looking forward to seeing where the heck this goes. Light might not, but, you know. Seems like it'll be a fun time. Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's great. We found Light's dad. And there's no possible way any of this could go wrong. But yeah, that was a very long recap because I was having a lot of fun telling it. And also we got sidetracked. Um, but I am gonna go and take a break. So everybody get up, stretch, move around, grab refills on your drinks, all of that fun stuff. And then I will come back and continue crochet and probably continue more D&D chatter. But yeah, I will be right back, so don't go too far. Alrighty, I return. Get back in the. Ugh. This is fine. D&D podcast was great background for cooking. Excellent. That is my hope. Clearly I enjoy rambling about it, so I'm glad that it works out. Alright. Undo the chain. I petted Sachette. She is curled up fast asleep. Good for background while sketching too. Excellent. And I know Kara is working on cross stitch. You were for the first part keeping up with the recap in terms of converting your bullet point notes to prose, but you fell massively behind when you got to the library. Oh no. Oh no. I hate to break it to you, Kite, that was only about a quarter of the way in. If that. I mean, at least it's recorded, so you can go back and re-listen to the recap for a while. Or a couple times if you need to. Knitting on the scarf has been happening. Excellent. I'm excited to see that finished, Dobby. It looks so good already. Just the panels you've posted. Yeah, I need to be getting a move on with. Because I know for a fact the middle section is going to be so complicated and take forever. So I need to get a move on. Right, double knit. Always forget that that is a thing. Because I don't do it. I forget it exists. Bye, Dobby. Enjoy your party. Happy birthday again. Enjoy friends. Thanks for stopping by. Also, I saw Kits' note that she is going to make her dinner. This is your usual reminder for everyone else that if you also are in a time where you need to be eating or making dinner, please do so. So take your meds. Also, I am incredibly flattered that Dobby called this a D&D podcast. I don't think I'm nearly that organized. I'm far too rambly to be a proper podcast. What? No! Oh no! Did your computer like crash? The power flickered. No! I'm so sorry, Marlene. Hey, Kara. Reminder that you have tea. Being the stage of the blanket where it's becoming just a bit awkward to handle. Food eaten. Excellent. Congratulations. Congratulations on your successful dinnering. Sunday is always the day I plan to be productive but never am because I'm too exhausted from the past 6 days. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right. Sasha has yelled you into turning that. I mean, that seems entirely reasonable. I mean, you say that, Randus, but she'll lay on the heating pad for a while, and then I think she gets overheated because she'll either roll off of it onto the blanket beside it, or she'll, like, get up and walk away for a while and then come back. I think that she gets too warm. Also, yes, the heating pad does turn itself off after 2 hours for safety. It has a built-in, like, auto shut-off. Here's lunch. Ooh. That is a pretty good... Here. Finish upstream so I can go eat lunch. That's exciting. Huh, we do love a lunch. Which is a reminder for any of you, if you have not had lunch, and you should, go eat lunch. I am also gonna go eat lunch. I'm gonna go do that now. But yeah, thank you guys for coming and hanging out. We're making progress. Like, look, this is recognizably the Crest of Light now. Like, you can actually tell what it is. It's over halfway done. Exciting. So yeah. Thank you all for coming and hanging out with me while I work on this. We will continue to work on this because it needs to be done. And oddly enough, most of my other projects at the moment are machine sewn and not streamable. I mean, there's always Hexagon, but we'll be working on this for a while. But yeah, thank you all very much for coming and hanging out. I am hoping to do weekday streams at some point if I don't end up sick and tired from work. Kara and I together might have something in the works, potentially. Yeah, weekday streams are effort but fun. So yeah, stay tuned. If all else fails, I should be back next week to see you all next Sunday for more yarn. So until then, everybody stay safe. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, make things, do things, and I will see you all later.